Everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Don't curse, speak English. Virtuous society. I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong,
elevate your mind.
Armstrong,
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
President Obama pledges to have Israel's back, and Prime Minister Netanyahu says it will be the master of his fate. They met today in what was a much anticipated meeting as allies closely monitor Iran's movements toward becoming a member of the nuclear club. Our president assured Israel's leader on today that our government will always have Israel's back, even while pursuing a window that allows for a diplomatic solution. Meeting at the White House a day after the president addressed the nation's top Israeli lobby, AIPAC, the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, the two agreed that diplomacy is the best route for now, although Mr. Netanyahu was very clear and stressed that his nation reserves the right to defend itself. And this is a quote: "When I say all options are on the table, I mean it. Having said that, I know both the Prime Minister and I prefer this diplomatically," Obama said. The U.S. will consider all options in confronting what it sees as the unacceptable outcome of an Iranian bomb. We do not want to see a nuclear arms race in one of the most volatile regions in this world. We do not want the possibility of a nuclear weapon falling into the hands of terrorists. And we do not want a regime that has been a state sponsor of terrorism being able to feel that it can act even more aggressively or with impunity as a consequence of its nuclear power, our president said. While Prime Minister Netanyahu offered his gratitude, he insisted Israel will be the master of its fate. Israel must have the ability to always to defend itself, by itself, against any threat, Netanyahu said, echoing the president's remarks to their Sunday annual conference. We're live today. That's just one of the many stories that's breaking news and making headlines in the country and the world. It will be interesting to see just how far along Israel is in its pending attack on Iran. Rush Limbaugh continues to apologize. He has lost many advertisers in the wake of his inference of women being sluts. You know, in our blog on the Right Side Wire on Friday, I condemned Mr. Limbaugh and said he had crossed the line and he should apologize. I'm glad that he decided to. He apologized for labeling a law student a slut and prostitute, failed to stem an exodus of advertisers from his radio show. As a number of the companies said today, it was withdrawing spots from the conservative program. AOLinc.com became the 8th company to announce in a statement online they were removing ads from the Rush Limbaugh Show, which is the most listened to talk radio show in the United States. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. Yes, thank you for joining us. I'm Armstrong Williams. We are streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. And you can visit our webpage at www.rightsidewire.com. We have a guest in this segment, Ricardo Palmer. He has a new book, which is a guide to evangelizing hip-hop culture, whatever that means. We're going to soon find out. We like to have a variety of authors on. The title of his book is Jesus the Christ, greatest rapper of all time. Mr. Palmer, welcome to the show. And why do you say that Jesus Christ was the greatest rapper of all time?
First of all, how's it going, Armstrong? I'm glad to have you. Glad to be on the show. I call Jesus Christ the greatest rapper of all time because we are addressing what we consider a hip hop culture, if you will. And I believe that God is the ultimate connector. And so for me to consider Jesus Christ the greatest rapper of all time in this day and age would be to say that Jesus Christ is making an attempt to connect with what I consider hip hop culture.
But isn't it what the words and the language that you use in conveying your thought, isn't that the most critical aspect of communicating?
Say that again. I mean, give me some understanding where you're coming from.
Well, when I think of hip hop, I think of profane language, disrespect.
Okay, gotcha.
The sewer is what I think about. But when I think about Jesus communicating, uplifting, wholesome, never disparaging anyone, kind, gentle, never condemning, never judgmental.
Gotcha. Well, I use that approach because, when you look at ultimately the fact that Jesus Christ will become flesh and blood, or Jesus Christ will become man. And if you think about Jesus Christ becoming man, that means the perfect God became sin so that we could connect with him. And so I think that Jesus Christ has never stopped trying to make a connection. And so even though...
But you're making a connection that Jesus the Christ was the greatest rapper of all time. I do not see, and I'm willing to have you elevate and educate me, I never have ever seen Jesus in the context of a rapper.
Oh, yeah, of course, because you probably don't consider yourself along with hip-hop generation. In other words, you probably would say that Jesus Christ would never take the position of a rapper or never take the position of a person who's trying to connect with rap, if you will. But
I am just saying that Jesus Christ never communicated and conveyed his message in the way that rappers do in this country today.
Oh, no. I don't think he does either. But I will say that when you look at our youth and our young adults, when you look at the position that's most lifted up, it probably is their favorite rapper. For instance, like a Lil Wayne, like a Jeezy, or whatever position may be. Those rappers or those artists probably are positioned in these kids' world as the numero uno, the number one. And so what I'm saying is that Jesus Christ wants that same position that they would give Lil Wayne or Young Jeezy or whoever else. And so I'm conveying it in that way and saying that Jesus Christ wants the same attention, wants the same esteem, wants to be in that role that most of our kids are placing these rappers. And that is in the position of worship.
So maybe this is a question that we should ask. Mm-hmm. What is the message of your music?
Mm-hmm. The message of my music?
The rapper's music. What is the underlying message? What is the redeeming social value in their message?
Well, when you look at you talking about the majority of rappers today, or the most mainstream rappers, like some of the ones I was just mentioning?
The ones that you mentioned in your book.
Okay. Well, the rappers that I mentioned in the book, I go both ways. I talk about how we as a church are to address the rappers who are mainstream, like a Kanye West, like a Young Jeezy. And I also talk about some of the Christian rappers who we're talking about, who we deal with now, and basically them saying, okay, we want to be relevant as well to these kids. So I don't actually address what I consider my favorite rappers. I was just basically talking about how, as a church, we should address our youth that are in what I consider hip hop culture. It's basically informing the church or schooling the church in how to address our kids who are being raised up in this hip hop culture. How do we address them? How do we connect with them?
But what are you connecting them to?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. In other words, we're talking about a word or a gospel or Jesus that's no longer relevant and will be considered hip hop culture. And so my point is making Jesus relevant in a culture or to people who don't consider him relevant. For instance, most of our kids nowadays don't even go to church or don't even know about the gospel versus, years and years ago where a lot of households, you had Christian homes, Christian households, and kids who were growing up in the church. That's no longer the case nowadays. And so what I was saying in my book is that how do we make Jesus Christ relevant to a culture who does not know him?
Is it that they don't want to know him, they don't have a way of knowing him, they reject it because his message is one of restrictiveness, restraint, sacrificing a lesser good for a greater good in the long run? What is it?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. But I think that when I talk to kids nowadays, I think the major issue is one of hypocrisy. I think the Jesus that the church talks about is not the Jesus or the same Jesus that's being portrayed in the scriptures. I think that that's probably one of the main issues is that what we live as a church community and what we preach as a church community, sometimes two different things, and it doesn't appeal to the kids nowadays.
What does appeal to the kids today?
Connection, love, hope. Those
not sex and drugs and profanity?
Oh, yeah, sure, definitely. But love never plays out. In other words, these kids still want to be embraced. They still want to be loved. They still want to be somebody. They still, but nowadays we can no longer just kind of preach to them or preach at them. They want that connection.
Where can someone find your book?
Oh, my book is at Barnes & Noble. It's on barnesandnoble.com. They can also go to lulu.com.
Well, listen, go out and get his book, Ricardo Palmer, Jesus the Christ, greatest rapper of all time. Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council of Nations Capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the show. You know, we're going to do open mic for the remainder at the top of the hour. I have just something I want to ask of our listeners who are fair, who are just, and who are objective. And it's pretty simple, actually, very simple. And that is, Rush Limbaugh is in turmoil right now in terms of what he said. And what he said was wrong. There's no question about that. And his reference to women as sluts and prostitutes. But you know what's interesting is that men love the reputation of being called a player. Player. You hear the word player. And the player is just another name for a slut. So, but men don't mind being called a slut, a player. In fact, that's the reputation that they want. Now, I think as they mature and become older, they like less of that reputation. But I think if you were to prefer to a man as a slut or a prostitute, it wouldn't faze them. I'm just trying to figure out the double standard in this country. Is it because that if a woman is having sex, she can have something to show for it for 9 months, and in that 9th month she can give birth, and with the man it only takes him 2 minutes? I mean, what is it? Should there be double standards for men and women in this country? Because a man cannot have his reputation unless he involves a woman. And a woman is not involved unless a man is trying to build on his sexual prowess. Okay? We want you to give us a call. We really want to have this discussion. Why is it that men can be called dogs? Dogs, too. Low down dirty dog. They don't mind. They don't mind the reputation of being called a player. I remember Wilt Chamberlain's book where he stated he slept with 20,000 women. Remember that? 20,000 women. He wasn't called a slut. He wasn't called a prostitute. He was just a man. Can you imagine what a woman would be referred to if she wrote a book that she slept with 20,000 men? Can you imagine that? So this double standard. What is the double standard? Why is it that a woman can so easily be labeled a slut, a prostitute, loose, promiscuous, and yet never those labels for a man? Is that fair? We're streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. We want you to give us a call. We want to hear from you on this topic and other topics. Super PACs is a super game changer, a race ender in this election cycle. Super PACs spend millions on advertising and airtime to keep their candidates in the running for the GOP presidential nomination. But the surge in cash aimed at prolonging the race has taken a toll on favorability ratings. There is no ad. That's where I'm going with the second topic. There is no ad that I've seen on TV that has ever influenced me one way or the other about a candidate. It hasn't. I just think for advertising to have that kind of impact on a voter says to me that voter is shallow. If you need, after you've made up your mind about your candidate, an ad can change your mind. 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. What are we voting for? Are we fickle, wishy-washy? Do we change our minds every day about the kind of candidate that we want to represent us? What are we looking for? We want you to participate in this discussion. The double standard for men and women when it comes to be called a slut, a prostitute, a loose, a player? And how many of you are influenced by political ads? How many of you are influenced by political advertising? And also, should Rush Limbaugh lose his radio show over his latest comments? I certainly don't think so. I can answer that quickly. No way. But what do you think? What do you think should be the penalty for his remarks? I think it's already happening. So many advertisers are pulling out. That's a big deal. It really is. When you lose advertisers, it gets your attention. We've never lost that advertiser. I just don't communicate that way. I don't want to ever be demeaning to people, disrespectful. I don't ever want to say anything to anyone that is harmful and disparaging. I just don't. I don't feel good about it, I must tell you. 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. We want you to give us a call. Do you understand, and I will be broadcasting tonight with Roland Martin and many others, as we talk about why Super Tuesday is so important. There's a lot at stake in Super Tuesday. There's a lot at stake. I do think that we're into the final stretches of this campaign. I think it's Romney's to lose. I really do. I think it's Romney's to lose. I think Romney, for the most part, has acquitted himself well in this campaign. He's always been 1 and 2, no matter where the primary or the caucus was being held. 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. It is open mic. We want to hear from you. John McCain is calling for airstrikes on Syria. That's right. John McCain is calling for airstrikes on Syria. Is this a good move? He has called for the United States to lead an international effort to protect the Syrian population by carrying out airstrikes on Syrian government forces. McCain said the United States should lead an international effort to help protect key populations, areas in Syria using airstrikes during remarks on the floor of the U.S. Senate. This will require our country to suppress enemy air defenses in at least part of the country. The ultimate goal of airstrikes should be to establish and defend safe havens in Syria, especially in the north, in which opposition forces can organize and plan their political and military activities against Assad. Give us a call. It is open mic. We're streaming live here at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you on the Super Game Changer. We want to hear from you about men. They take pride in being referred to as sluts and players. Doesn't bother them. Should the United States strike Syria? And what should happen to Rush Limbaugh? Caller, are you on the line?
Hello, Armstrong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Jacob calling from Lexington.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Apologize for that. Go ahead, Jacob. I just heard you breathing.
I'm sorry, but I just want to say, well, as far as, who should be called a slut and a prostitute, only people who put themselves out there as such, deserve that criticism. I mean, Rush Limbaugh didn't know this woman, had no knowledge of this woman. So for him to even, and the woman wasn't even talking about herself needing birth control. So he was just totally off the mark with all his comments. And, I don't think his advertisers, these people who advertise on his show should have never done it in the first place, because this is not the first time he's done something like this. This won't be the last time. So, everybody has their right to freedom of speech. He deserves to have his radio show if he wants it. And, but it says something about our country if he's the highest rated talk show host and he says the same
most listened to. Let me read something that one of our live streamers wrote. I will protect their name. She writes, "We're all put here to reproduce. Evolutionarily, men's goal is to impregnate as many women as possible. So in today's society, sleeping with a plethora of women is still considered impressive, sad, but true." Do you agree with that?
I don't.
But you're hesitating.
No, I'm not. I want to make sure what I say is, manage my words carefully. But the idea of men going around, sleeping with multiple women, having multiple children by different mothers, is one of the reasons, particularly in the African American community, that our youth struggle with their identity and who they are. So no, it's not something that as a man I feel, feeds my ego to have 4 or 5 different children by 4 or 5 different women. It's not impressive. It's destructive. It causes more problems in our community than really anything else. It gives our young men the wrong impression about, how they should behave and approach women. So, no, it's not impressive to me. Derek Jeter.
Jacob, just hold that point. This is Armstrong Williams. Armstrong Williams Show. Streaming live, www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Credit fairy.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more.
What?
Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Damon, do you actually think that people of the Islamic Muslim faith who are allowed to have many of the wives, do you think that was something that that came from a position of faith or something that came directly from God. It's just something they wanted to do because they want to have many wives so they could enjoy the fruits of that labor and not having to call it sin. So they had to find a way to make it legitimate. Jacob?
Oh, I'm sorry. You think you said David, but well, I think part of it is ego. I mean, again, women were possessions. In some societies, they still are property of men. So, you know, as with any rich man, more is better. Again, you know, back in those days, you know, a lot of fathers wanted wanted their daughters to be married into wealthy families so they would have that security. So that, you know, the rich got leveraged that way. So that's why, you know, polygamy was allowed back in those days. But obviously now, you know, it's not practical, serves no purpose. So that's why, you know, it's not allowed by law anymore. But when men like Derek Jeter and George Clooney and Wilt Chamberlain, you know, they date these women and have sex with them, and you know, then kick them to the curb. You know, it is sort of a double standard, but at the same time, they present it as I'm dating one woman at a time. You know, we you know, rock stars and rappers, you know, they always talk about these girls waiting for them at the lobbies, at the hotel, after every concert. You know, of course they're going to partake, and those men are considered, you know, sluts or dogs or whatever you want to call them. But they accept that, and if they want to, you know, if they advertise that and they're proud of that, then so be it. But it doesn't make them any different than a woman who does it. But you know, but Rush Limbaugh was way out of line. I mean, I don't think he deserves to lose his radio show, but anybody who continues to support him and listens to him is supporting this behavior. And just like with a child, if you acknowledge and encourage negative behavior, they're going to keep doing it. And he claimed he was trying to be funny and all this kind of stuff. But, I mean, he didn't have a smile on his face when he was saying it, you know. It wasn't funny. It was really sad. And, you know, it just showed his ignorance about contraception.
Well, anyhow, it's always good hearing from you, Jacob. Thank you for staying around and talking a little more, and thank you for always tuning in.
Thank you.
All right. 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. Did I hear another call on the line? No. Just want to make sure I'm not hearing things. So listen, I just think that this country is just so uptight when it comes to the issue of sex and dealing with it and talking to your kids and talking about it in the right context. I don't think it's something that you should be ashamed or embarrassed of or uncomfortable with. I think it's something that's very healthy when it's respected and honored as it's supposed to be. Now, we all are human. We slip. We fall short. But we should not make it an exercise, is what I'm saying. I don't know. I've got a little allergy here. We know how it is sometimes. Just got to hang in there. So look, as I was saying, the point I was making is I just think we're so uptight when it comes to this issue. And I think we make people feel bad about it to the point where people feel they have to be sneaky and slick and hide what they're doing. And what we need is more open dialogue, more conversation. Because I think if more people were comfortable enough to having a conversation with their children about this issue of sex, I think you would have less of the violence. I think you would have less out-of-wedlock births. I just don't think we have ever, as a nation, have ever addressed it in the way it should have been. I mean, it should be an easy topic to discuss. It's how life comes about. But it's how you discuss it is the issue. 733-5620, 620-6620. I certainly don't think that Rush Limbaugh should lose his job. Do you think we're being fair to Limbaugh? Do you think we are? As advertisers quit his show, and as Republican politicians squirm uncomfortably, his fans are complaining about a double standard. Yes, they'll concede that maybe he went too far in denouncing a female law student as a slut and a prostitute, and then demanding that she post a sex tape online for him to review. I just thought that was just unbelievable, actually. But at all the liberal lefty broadcasters who have all said obnoxious things, and no one calls Democratic politicians to account for them. Well, that's not true, because Ed Schultz was suspended for what he said about Laura Ingraham. So I'm not going to say that's not the point. But the point is, Limbaugh is a provocateur. And I know many of you quietly listen to him. You would never admit it. You probably keep him on for all 3 hours and can't turn it off. That's right. You probably listen to him. You don't want to tell your friends because you're too afraid of what they may say about you. But he's an entertainer. Why do we take entertainers so serious? Why do we give them a higher place than they deserve in our lives? Why? If people enjoy it, listening to Limbaugh is fine. Caller, I hear you. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I was calling, I guess I first started listening to Limbaugh. Well, I just listened to him for a brief period from the 93, 94 during the Hillary, the debates about the health care. And I guess it was just about maybe a few days of listening to him beat the living daylights out of Hillary and realized,
You need to speak up. You keep breaking up on us, man. Are you there? I think our caller was on his cell phone, and I think it's safe to say that the call dropped. How many of you quietly listen to Limbaugh? And if you don't listen to him, how do you know what he's saying? How do you know whether you like him or not? Caller, you're back. Go ahead. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Bernard. Columbia. This is another caller.
Hello, Bernard. How are you today?
I'm just fine, young man. How you?
Oh, young man. Keep saying that.
That's right.
Yes, brother, I'm good.
Yeah, I listen to Rush Limbaugh. And, the word conservative doesn't have to apply to somebody just because you're a politician or you're rich. Conservative applies to everybody. Just what degree are you conservative with your life? Am I right or wrong?
Oh, yeah. No question. No question about that. No question.
Listen to Rush. I listen to Rush Limbaugh. Just like they say, when your talk show radio, when you guys on talk radio report and say what you give me the information you feeding me, then I decide on what you're coming at me with on whether it's right or wrong or how I feel about it.
And you're intelligent enough to decide.
Say again?
And you're intelligent enough to decide for yourself.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Yes, I most certainly am, I must say. And Rush Limbaugh, I'm a truck driver, and I listen to Rush Limbaugh for at least an hour and a half for most of his shows out here on this road. Not because I can't get another station, but he's a very interesting fellow. And in my opinion, this man has been given too many passes with the way he's come out of his mouth. And it's just like you said about the subject of sex. As long as you keep it decent and respectful, that goes with any issue that you talk with people about. Talk to people about or whatever you want to talk about. As long as you keep your conversation about the president respectful and decent, there's nothing wrong with what you say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I guarantee you, my brother Armstrong, if you'd have said the same comment about that same young lady, I bet you wouldn't be on the air.
Oh, no. I wouldn't say that, though. That's just not me.
I feel that way 100%. You would instantly be off the air along with your the people that...
No. I wouldn't be off the air because I own my product, so that's not true.
Well, can I work for you?
No.
But seriously, Rush Limbaugh has been given too many passes, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, many people get second chances, man. What's wrong with second chances?
He ain't never been given the first one. He just been saying what he been wanting to say all this time, and nobody never said nothing about it.
You don't enjoy his show?
I enjoy it. That's why. How can you listen to the show an hour and a half and don't enjoy it? I listen to what he says because when the bottom was falling out of the market back here, and people, I was listening to the folks calling in on his show that were his strong supporters and didn't know what to do, which way to turn. And he told these people one thing that I was blessed for turning to his station that day because I didn't want to listen to nothing he had to say. I wasn't in the mood for him. But he said something to them people then that had me getting my stuff in line when the bottom started falling out. He said, don't worry about what's going on with the market and all this stuff. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And you should be all right if you're doing the right thing. I'll never forget those words he told his
Sage advice. Sage advice. Hey, you can learn from anybody if you listen.
Yeah, all the time. You know, as long as you're green, when a plant is green, it's growing. When it's brown, it's dead. I'd rather be green. I'd rather stay green.
Now I can tell you're open.
Always.
Somebody just wrote in and said no one ever accused Rush of being respectful. Thank you, Bernard, for calling in. Thank you. We'll be back. Don't go away. I'm Armstrong Williams. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back. Remember that show, Welcome Back, Carter? Welcome back. So what's going to happen to Iran? How do you weigh in on that conversation? Should Israel just bomb them? Listen, let me tell you. I learned this from my father growing up. When we were growing up, sometimes we'd run into these rattlesnakes and water moccasins, and oftentimes they would be little baby vipers. And my dad would say to us, boy, anytime you see these baby snakes, you kill them because you don't want to deal with them when they're full grown and at full strength. Take them out while they're baby vipers. And that's what Iran is right now. Iran is a baby viper. You don't want to give it an opportunity to become a full-grown, energized, mature viper, because you will have something on your hands. Remember Hitler in the 1930s, when the Allies had a chance to take him out, and they thought diplomatic relations was the answer, and they engaged in that, and almost 3 years later, they were awakened to a sleeping giant. And look at the havoc he wreaked on Europe and almost won the battle. You don't want to give these vipers a chance to grow up. That's just my take. You want to decapitate it while it's young. 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. What should Israel do? Imagine if you knew somebody was developing the arsenal to take you out. Wouldn't you want to level them before their arsenal started growing in numbers and power and resources? Wouldn't you just want to eliminate it? I mean, you can understand where Israel is. I mean, it's just with anybody. I mean, you do not want them to become full capacity. You don't want to get them to get to that point. You just don't want it. You want to take them out when they're most vulnerable. Do not allow that viper to grow up, because when that viper grows up, you have no idea what you may have on your hands. And I don't think you'd want to find out. Okay? 733-5620, 1-866-620-6620. It's open mic. I'm Armstrong Williams, your host. We want to hear from you. Do you have any recommendations of what we can do to change our educational crisis around? Why is it that some kids learn and others don't? Why is it that it doesn't really matter oftentimes about your background? How involved does parents need to be with their child's education? What is the magical formula for education? What is it? Is there a magical formula for success? Is there? Is there some secret to why some people do better than others? Okay, caller, I hear you ringing in my ear. I like ring, ring, ring. Remember the ring my bell? Caller, go ahead.
Armstrong?
This is he.
Hi. First time caller.
Oh, thank you. What's your name?
Talk with you. I beg your pardon?
Your name?
It's Elizabeth.
Hello, and thank you for being a first time caller, Miss Elizabeth.
Well, I wanted to weigh in on the Rush Limbaugh matter. And let me just say that I listen to you often, and a lot of times I agree with you, and a lot of times I disagree with you. I disagree with you today, where you said that Armstrong, that Rush is an entertainer. I'd have to disagree with that a bit, because it does appear that the Republican Congress put a lot of weight on how he feels about things, and they seem to make an effort not to ruffle his feathers, and it seems like they just fall over themselves just to make sure that they don't upset him. And I remember Rush from the 80s, and over his career he has just said many mean, racist, and just many cruel things. I think that his advertisers were certainly in their right to pull their advertising. And, of course, Rush was within his right to say what he said, as awful as it may have been. The thing is that there are consequences to our actions. And so we don't live in a country where we can't say things, but we also have to realize that there are also consequences to the things that we may say or do.
I don't disagree with anything you just said.
Okay, well, great.
Because what you say makes sense. I mean, yeah, you can be the big bad wolf and the bully on the block, but let me tell you something. There's a price in all that you do, no matter how big and how small.
Absolutely.
And if you can pay the piper, because you're going to pay that piper. People can talk big talk until you begin to reap the consequences of that big talk. And you're right. Limbaugh has a right to say whatever he wants to say, but he also has the right to, if the marketplace say, I don't want to listen to your show anymore, and I don't want to put my brand name on your show, then the marketplace can fire you.
Right. And I also think that the marketplace may have been, or many in the marketplace may have been looking for the opportunity. I think that they monitor the things that he said over the years, and I think that maybe some of them may have been waiting for a time to cut him loose. I don't have any fact on that, but the swiftness in how they move, it gives me the impression that they were feeling a little unhappy with him anyway.
But you know what? Remember what the Bible says. There's a time and place for everything. There's a season for all things. There's a season, there's a season when you can say everything you want to say and it seems like you're invincible. But there's a season of reckoning also.
Absolutely.
But for me, no matter what you may say about this broadcast, you may say, as you just said, I agree with you part of the time, I disagree with you other times, but you can never say that I'm rude and disrespectful and uncivilized.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And if you were, I would not listen to you.
That's right, because you know what? One thing you should add that you should expect when you listen to someone's show is respect and civility and a civil discourse. And that doesn't require much.
And it doesn't. And I have listened to Rush in the past, but I had to stop listening because some of it was just so crash. I just could not accept that kind of stuff within my spirit. But I will say I have heard him actually bash callers who called in with their opinion. And he's been rude. And I don't know. I think, like I said, I think that this is just a time that he's just going to have to deal with it. And
can I flatter you? I know you're going to be surprised. Here it is. You're probably one of the most objective callers that I've talked to on the airwaves in a long time. You just have a sense of fairness, not favoring any, but you have a series of core values that you understand what is proper, what is respectful, and what is appropriate. And that's what you based it on. It's not about the personalities. It's not about whether they're Republican or Democrat. It's how they communicate that you make a judgment about them.
Absolutely. That's the way I feel.
Yes, it comes across. And thank you for continuing to remind us of that important standard.
Thanks, Armstrong, and we'll keep listening.
All right, Miss Elizabeth. Appreciate that. 733-5620. Ooh, the times. Ooh, where did it go? 866-620-6620. It is true. Listen, whatever happens, and boy, we go at it sometime on the airways. But hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Am I on?
Yes, sir. You're on.
Oh, how you doing, Armstrong? First-time caller as well.
Thank you.
And I guess first time I listened to Limbaugh, I heard of Limbaugh was back in 93, 94 when the healthcare debate was going on. And I kind of got turned off just the way he was, beating the living daylights out of Hillary Clinton at the time. I thought it was really disrespectful. But, he can be humorous too. Now, but I think what he did this last time, yeah, you can say Bill Maher and, folks on the other side say nasty stuff. But his went beyond the pale because he went at it for 3 days straight. It was kind of like he had blinders on, and he's always done this. He's almost 2 decades at least I'm aware of that he's been doing stuff like this and been getting away with it. And this time around, this is the first time I've heard of advertisers pulling their support off his program, and I think that's maybe the reason why he's apologized. I never heard him apologize before.
You know what? Nor have I.
Yeah, but I think my whole thing about it is you can't eat your cake and have it too. Now, the former RNC chairman, there was a time called him. I said, he was being criticized, and he came out and said, no, Rush Limbaugh's an entertainer, this and that. And Rush Limbaugh just pretty much delivered a smackdown. And I was really disappointed, that Michael Steele, backed off, apologized to him, made a personal phone call. I mean, I was.
Rush Limbaugh smacked him down, and he backed down. He was a coward. He was a coward.
Yeah, but I was really amazed.
I was stunned.
A lot of politicians also are afraid of him, and he's, it's like, look, he didn't hit Romney. I'm like, Romney, what he did was straight up wrong. Just call him out and say, apologize and do this. And They didn't even, they're really scared of him. So he's not just an entertainer. That's not the truth. That's, the other truth.
Fair point. Fair point. I see your perspective.
Yeah, but the one thing that one of my roommates, back then I was in college, and one of my roommates at the time, and he told me something. Then at the time I didn't understand what he meant, and he said that Rush Limbaugh, and my roommate happened to be Caucasian, white, and he said Rush Limbaugh had mastered the art of scaring white folks for a living.
That's interesting. I never heard that before. Listen, thank you, Bernard. Sorry we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. www.rightsidewire.com. I'm Armstrong Williams. Take care, everybody.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www